So, ba- wait, let me just. So basically, I was planning to talk about this video like before, but then I basically forgot. But I feel like it's very relevant, especially usually today with all of the stuff that's going on with the UK and whatnot. So based on that, I just find it appropriate for me to talk about this. How hentai destroys your mind. Let me just this really quick. Take this off. Going to start recording this. Okay. Start.
Hentai. Few things on the modern internet are as destructive. That's not an exaggeration. We live in a time where the average person takes it for granted that porn and hentai don't harm them, when in reality all scientific research shows they do. So how did we get here, and what can be done about it? Anime is the definition of a medium with big ups and big downs. On one hand, it can be a beautiful art style that produces brilliant shows. There are thousands of
Okay, so what this video buffers, I just want to say that that scientific research is actually true. Like there's a but like like consuming a lot of adult content can actually give you literal brain damage. I'm serious right now, and I mean literal brain damage. It's nothing.
anime fans who enjoy their favorite anime without making it weird. Anime can produce many meaningful discussions about themes and messages. But just as the culture surrounding anime has its highs, it has its dark lows.
Very dark.
Hentai is the darkest of them all. In 2020, I made a video titled
Actually, I think the lolicon and pedophilia is the lowest of the low you can go, but I but let him go on.
How Pornography Destroys Your Mind. Everything I said in that video is as true today as it was then. In fact,
Wait, hold up. Fix something for a moment. Okay, now I believe the audio should be far better now. It should definitely be better.
since I made that video, even more research on the negative effects of pornography has come out.
Damn.
The mountain of proof continues to grow ever higher, and there's no end in sight. First of all, for people not acquainted with what hentai means, here's its definition. Hentai is a work of anime or manga, or any similar medium, that contains sexual or pornographic art. To simplify, anime is a popular Japanese art style. Hentai is anime depicting sex. For this reason, the hentai industry could basically be viewed as the dark counterpart of the anime industry. While anime and manga focus mainly on actually telling stories, hentai focuses on being sexual material. Now, to be clear here, hentai is a form of pornography and meets the dictionary definition of it. However, despite this, there remains a vocal minority who seem to think that somehow, hentai doesn't have the same negative effects as real porn. They've convinced themselves that because hentai is drawn, masturbating to it will somehow have no effect on them. Not only is this false, but I'll be making the case in this video that hentai is probably even worse for you than actual pornography. A bold claim, but give me the chance to make my case. And now, with the stage all set, let's get into exactly how hentai destroys your mind. To the average person, hentai probably doesn't sound like it's an issue outside of Japan, but in the last 2 decades, that's all changed. Hentai websites generate tens of millions of views from people across the planet, not just Asia. Pornhub, the biggest porn site in the world, released a report in 2019 that found that hentai was its most searched category.
And and that category has never gone down in the past 6 years. It's almost amazing if it wasn't so terrible.
Any online anime fan has heard of someone who's watched hentai. Hentai websites are widely shared.
Actually, that is true. I have known several people, especially in college and high school, who have watched hentai. I don't watch it myself because that shit is depraved, but yeah.
Anywhere anime is discussed. Hentai may have started in Japan, but in a way it's also not truly Japanese. Before 1945, Japan enforced strict censorship laws that forbade depiction of the sex acts shown in hentai.
Okay, wait. This is actually the first time I'm hearing of this, because adult Japanese art have existed for hundreds or even thousands of years. Now, that is actually crazy.
Japan, like much of the world, had strict moral values that the population was expected to abide by. It was only after World War II, when a liberal government was enforced on Japan by the United States, that hentai began to emerge. The US occupied the country and rewrote the Japanese constitution, repealing Japan's former censorship laws. From that point on, slowly but surely, pornography of all kinds was shown to the population under the guise of freedom of speech. One might look at it as a sick way for the occupiers to pacify the Japanese people. But regardless of its origins, the problem of hentai is no longer small or distinctly Japanese. Today, it's gone international. If you don't see any problem with this, let's recap just some of the scientifically proven negative effects of online porn. High chance of addiction, increased erectile dysfunction, loss of motivation, desensitization to normal sex acts, dulling of dopamine receptors, higher chance of divorce, and much more. If you're someone who ever watched porn or hentai on a regular basis,
the highest chance of divorce is the one I can tell you is most likely going to happen. Trust me.
Be honest with yourself. You likely felt some or all of these problems. One common argument defenders of hentai make is that hentai itself isn't harmful to a person, but rather the harm supposedly comes from their own shame for watching it. This is a sophisticated tactic of blaming the victims and deflecting blame from the true source of the problem. It's like saying to someone whose health is being destroyed by cigarettes that it's only happening because they're ashamed that they used the cigarettes. Other people acknowledge the harm of hentai on the individual, but defend it by saying that it only affects the person viewing it and has no effect on broader society. But as I'll demonstrate in this video, that's clearly wrong. It doesn't even pass a common sense check. Hentai is broadcast openly on the internet to millions, not to the individual. Japanese sociologist Kamio Ito studied hentai's effects for years and found in his research that it was causing men to retreat from real life into a world of imagination. Such men were no longer interested in real women or real relationships and were content to spend their days masturbating to fantasies. The effects of this trend on society are predictably catastrophic. Japan is of course the main creator and exporter of hentai, and it's viewed there more than any other country. Surveys there in recent years found that 70% of Japanese men aged 18 to 34 aren't in a relationship, and about half of this group have no interest in one. Japanese culture.
Oh yeah, there's something I need to add about that. I was actually online on X, and someone from Japan actually mentioned that Japanese men much rather stay at home, watch anime, and play video games than actually go and talk to real women. And when I mentioned that one, several Japanese women actually agree with me. I'm on stream.
Has become full of bizarre and freakish sexual things, such as public masturbation booths and buying smellable panties from vending machines. This all matches with Kamio Ito's theory that hentai is causing Japanese youth to retreat from the real world into a fantasy world. And while we obviously can't blame hentai for all of this, it's certainly a key part. The trends in Japan, of course, can be extrapolated to the rest of the world. As I said, hentai can be addictive to anyone, not just the Japanese. And if you think that all sounded bad, buckle up, because we're just getting started. Something that makes hentai potentially even worse than regular porn is that, due to being animated and cartoonish, it's especially likely to draw in young people. Remember that the average age people first see porn online is the age of 11. A young person on the internet might stumble upon hentai because the animation style looks like other cartoons they've watched. To make matters even worse, pornographers often use characters from popular kids shows like Pokemon, Dragon Ball Z, and even Western shows in extreme porn. This draws in younger and younger people to make a habit of watching hentai. And all of this is happening at the same time that actual scientific research has found that almost nothing stunts a young person's sexual development more than using online porn. Now, a hentai defender might say, but their parents just shouldn't let them watch it. That's true, but this ignores that not all parents take proper care of their kids. If they did, we wouldn't be in this situation. And some simply don't understand just how bad the problem of porn and hentai on the internet is. No matter what, by leaving this issue completely unregulated, millions of kids are being left to the wolves. Hentai.
I think this is probably the reason why the UK is beginning to crack down on adult content of any and every kind. It's because they're finally actually doing something, but because it comes at the expense of other people, people are just yelling and crying about it. Especially the surge in VPNs that's going on right now.
Advocates, predictably, have no recourse for these people left behind. The truth is that people that advocate for hentai want more people addicted.
Why am I not surprised Sydney would be in this? Like, we literally just saw her husband a few seconds ago. We are now seeing Sydney here too. What the?
They want more people who are just like them. Speaking of children, we should now talk about how hentai actually gets much darker than just showing sex. We can start with one of the most disgusting examples, the lolicon genre.
Oh,
now, the term lolicon itself should immediately ring alarm bells to any normal person. This is because it's based on the phrase Lolita, which is a synonym for a young prepubescent girl, and this genre is exactly as twisted as you would expect. It shows sex involving young prepubescent girls, from preteens down to toddlers. Lolicon hentai essentially glorifies and popularizes child sex abuse to a wide audience. What are the effects of this? Well, we do know that over time viewers of porn are desensitized to the acts they watch. When you couple this with lolicon, it paints a dark picture. Psychotherapist Sam Luley emphasized how hentai can desensitize people's minds. As a psychotherapist who specializes in sexuality, one trend I've seen over the years is how prolonged viewing of hentai can eventually impact one's arousal template. In other words, what people used to find arousing may no longer be enough, and the more deviant forms of sexualization become the new norm of arousal.
So basically, it actually reaches the point where the normal stuff, like the missionary and the normal stuff, doesn't quite entice you anymore, which basically makes it little to impossible to find normal women attractive anymore sexually. Ouch. That sucks.
He wrote about lolicon specifically. What can be problematic is that these types of cartoon depictions of willing, childlike sexual encounters normalize children as appropriate sexual partners. When a child is sexualized, the old social norms that protect children as off-limits are chipped away at and blurred. Thus, any kind of objectification of children as sex objects can either legitimize child sexual abuse or minimize its impact. Well, you heard the psychotherapist. Let's trust the science. But sadly, even this lowest form of hentai has its defenders.
This 12-year-old girl, yes, maybe a 12-year-old girl, but it is just a drawing of a fictional 12-year-old girl. Nobody can do anything directly to this 12-year-old girl that will put them in harm's way in any kind of physical or emotional sense, because this 12-year-old girl you speak of never existed in the first place.
Well done addressing an argument that absolutely no one is making. The issue is the viewer, not the character. But people who argue in favor of this do not do so in good faith. They are essentially all either terminally online porn addicts or actual pedophiles. You might find them on websites like Twitter, where their feed is nothing but them arguing with normal people who are against sexualizing children. One trend I've noticed with these people is how they make being a lolicon their entire personality. It's all they talk about. They have destroyed their life and identity so much with their porn habit that it's now all they can identify with. It would be a sad and pitiable state, if not for the fact that they desire to pull everyone else down with them. There's one particular case that should be noted here. On YouTube, there's a highly viewed video defending lolicon by a user named Mr. Cynical. He also goes by the name Burn or Rika, and you'll soon see why he's always changing his name. One of the key arguments of his video is that fiction supposedly doesn't impact a person in reality. Never mind all the science I just talked about. He claims that someone can be sexually attracted to animated children without being sexually attracted to real children. Well, Mr. Cynical later admitted to engaging in sex tourism in Thailand with child prostitutes.
Everyone's like, "Oh, you rape these children, you rape these children." I'm like, no, it's fuck rape, you know. That guy.
Well, you still fucked them, right?
Yeah, I had sex with them. Just
And wait, that was in Thailand.
yes.
Shit.
He also posted sexual.
I also just want to point out that I heard of a Mushoku Tensei fan that was actually caught during well, how should I say this? You know that thing that they basically that yeah, you know that thing where they basically trick pedophiles into coming to looking for kids, not knowing that it's actually been planted. Yeah, that's actually. He was actually a Mushoku Tensei fan and he was a pedo. Crazy, right?
Pictures of his underage sister's feet to the internet. This man spent an entire 40-minute video arguing how viewing child hentai doesn't make someone a pedophile, and then ended up being an active pedophile. Understand that this is the kind of person who defends lolicon.
Wow.
That's what you call ironic.
Now with hentai, it isn't even just lolicon that's the problem. Hentai is full of disgusting and unnatural fetishes that it sells to its viewers. Rape, torture, bestiality, gore, it's all there. The hentai industry is actively creating people whose views of sex are utterly horrifying. And this doesn't just impact minors. As has been discussed, adults also suffer from many negative health outcomes, both physical and mental, from watching it. Hentai also shouldn't be seen as just a male problem. It certainly affects men the worst, but women, especially young women, are also badly impacted by it. Take this story of a girl whose boyfriend introduced her to hentai when she was just 16. I'll never forget the first hentai video he linked me. As an innocent girl who had rarely seen a naked body, the exaggerated childlike women and bold, confident men portrayed in the cartoons ensnared me at once. The more I watched, the more violent ones I saw, the darker my thoughts about sex and relationships became. One day, I asked the boy if he would ever tie me up like the boys in hentai. He replied with the dirtiest, most graphically explained message about exactly what he planned to do. And there, I started with roleplay. Eventually, she did get out of that lifestyle, but she concludes by saying, "The scars of that secret online life dig deep." So much for fiction having no effect on real life. Now, as usual in these videos, I want to debunk a few popular myths. But what about wholesome hentai? There isn't any such thing. All hentai depicts sex with the goal of inspiring lust in the viewer. If someone's addicted to vanilla porn, it doesn't change the fact that they're still addicted to porn and it's still negatively affecting their lives. But it's just pixels. This is an obvious bad faith argument. Media of any kind is just pixels. Pixels are used to convey messages, and the substance of what's being portrayed is what matters. The effect it has on your mind doesn't magically disappear just because it's animated as opposed to being real life. Life is hard, just let people use their hentai. Life is hard, and hentai is one of the things that makes people's lives even worse.
So that is literally the same thing as in saying life is hard, just let this guy smoke some powder. Or life is hard, he can just smoke all the pot he wants. That's just wrong. That's BS. Absolute and total BS.
Worse. One of the final things worth saying about hentai is how it taints anime as a whole. Anime culture has the potential to be so much better than it currently is. When people who don't know anime assume the worst about it, it's usually because they think it's all bait thumbnails before.
Exactly.
Much like the mutually destructive relationship between the Coomer and the porn star, many anime YouTubers use hentai to attract their audience. This is not good. Look, if you care about anime, you should recognize that it could be doing so much better than this.
You looking for a fight with that sign? Fetishizing lollies? Pedophilia? You really looking for a fight?
I'll draw this video to a close as I did How Pornography Destroys Your Mind, by offering some solutions to the hentai problem. The most important thing that you need to understand is that things don't have to be this way. We don't have to live like this. We don't have to live in a society where people are exposed to horrifying sexual images on a daily basis. The first solution is obvious. If you personally look at hentai, quit immediately. Save yourself from the black hole it's pulling you into. It's not too late. You have the strength to quit if you put your heart and mind into it. There are more stories online every single day of people who successfully kicked their porn and hentai habits. Starve hentai creators the money they gather from poisoning you and millions of other people. Now obviously, at the same time, individuals quitting isn't the only thing that needs to be done. Hentai has become a society-wide problem, and thus we need to address it at the society-wide level. Major social media companies need to be pressured to change their policies and to remove hentai content. Some people will claim this can't be done, but it's already been done on websites like Instagram and Gab, both of which ban porn. Web service providers should also pull down hentai sites as well as other websites that continue to create and distribute it. But that's just in the private sector. Governments can be banned. After all, for centuries free speech did not cover porn, and it was always understood that an individual's right to look at porn was trumped by the community's right to restrict it. To people who say that laws like this can't be enforced, I once again say that they already are being enforced. As we speak, many governments ban pornography and are quite effective at keeping it from going mainstream. Even we in America already enforce bans on child pornography. In the rare cases where someone gets it, they're thrown in prison and made an example out of. We merely need to expand that. Outlawing hentai should be part of a greater moral revival, where we take every measure in our power to get Western society back on track from the moral wasteland it's currently in. No solution here is perfect, but let's try our best to strive and achieve what those before us have failed to do. This has been Pax. Leave comments below letting me know your thoughts on all this. If anyone watching has stories of how they overcame a hentai habit, please share them. I and many others would love to read them.
Okay, so with that being said, with all of that being said, I have to note that I am completely, and I mean completely, behind the porn ban in the UK. Okay, I am completely behind it. I don't care what anybody says. I do not care about their opinions. I just have to say that I'm completely behind it, no matter what it is. Okay, I am behind the ban. I completely believe it's going to be a far better place for society. Yeti. And it should be international. It should be everywhere. Okay, that's all I need to say. All right. Okay, so I've just stopped recording for YouTube. So let me see if I'm still online. Start.
Hentai. Few things on the modern internet are as Hentai may have started in Japan,
Never got.
while anime
It's almost amazing if it wasn't so terrible.
online anime.
Also, I seriously feel like I should note how much I hate my own voice, especially during the recording. When I'm sounding my head, I sound so confident, so strong. I just feel like I'm just that guy. Then I hear it, then I hear that voice recorded, and I suddenly hate myself. I seriously hate myself. Seriously. Okay. Now then.
You're 12 years old, sitting under a mango tree in your Igbo village, West Africa, 1750.
Igbo. You don't need to. Okay. So. Okay, so now I think I should put something a little bit less disturbing. Let me see. Property. Let's see. Props. To this. This is Life as an Atlantic Slave. It's another video that I've been planning to look at for a while. Let me see. Okay, starting now.
You're 12 years old, sitting under a mango tree in your Igbo village.
Actually, it's pronounced Igbo. I'm actually a Nigerian. Oh, forget that. If these people were to hear this thing, they will never stop talking. Probably.
West Africa, 1750. The sun's warm, painting the yam fields gold. Drums pound like a heartbeat, and the market buzzes. Women arguing over fish, kids chasing goats, their laughter bouncing off mud huts. You're braiding your little sister's hair, her giggles soft as a breeze, dreaming of being a storyteller like your mama. Her stories of warriors and spirits make the village glow. Life's hard, dirt under your nails, sweat on your brow, but it's yours, until the screams start. Dawn cracks open with a roar. Huts explode in flames, spitting embers like angry stars. African slavers, armed with European muskets and allied with pale traders, storm through, their boots crushing your world to pieces. Your sister's hand slips from yours as she's pulled away, her screams slicing your heart. You dive behind a yam stack, heart pounding like a war drum, but your best friend, Essie, spots you. Her eyes jump between you and a raider holding up shiny glass beads like they're a gift from heaven. Her little brother hangs weak in another raider's arms, blood running down his forehead. She's there, Essie whispers, her voice shaking as she points. Please, just take her instead. Your stomach drops into hell, betrayed by the girl you shared secrets with. Rough hands grab you. Iron shackles snap around your ankles, cold and heavy, biting your skin raw. You scream for Mama, but she's lost in the smoke. As raiders drag you into the forest, she runs after you, pushing a hand-woven bracelet into your hand. "Keep my stories alive, Adwa," she whispers, tears running down her face. Then she's gone, swallowed by the fire and chaos. The march begins. 300 miles to a place you've never seen, thorns tearing at your feet, the air thick with sobs and the smell of burning dreams. Storyteller aspirations? The universe just pissed on your parade, Adwa. You're cargo now, and this is the worst road trip in human history. Destination? Chains. The forest march ends at Cape Coast Castle, a giant stone building sitting by the sea. You're shoved into a cell so dark it swallows hope. The air chokes you. Sweat, piss, and death thick as mud. Chains clank. Cries bounce off slimy walls. And the girl pressed against you goes still. Dysentery claiming another victim before her 13th birthday. Your ankles burn, raw from metal cuffs, and your stomach twists from hunger. Then a slave trader walks in, his torch spitting light. He grabs your jaw, checks your teeth like you're a horse, his grin sour as spoiled milk. "Strong enough," he growls, and a red-hot iron burns property into your shoulder. You scream until your throat bleeds, the smell of your own burning flesh filling your nostrils. They call you Mary now, stripping your name like it's nothing more than old cloth. You grip Mama's woven bracelet, whispering Adwa to keep her stories breathing in this tomb. A guard catches you, his whip cracking your lip, blood dripping like bitter rain. You hold back tears. Crying's a death wish here. In the dark, a woman, Ya, slides you a handful of mush, her eyes sharp but kind. "We're planning something," she whispers, nodding at a ship outside. A revolt. Your heart leaps. Freedom or death. Finally, a choice that matters. But then Ya's hand hovers over your bracelet. "Give it to me or you're not in," she hisses. Trust another traitor? Your gut twists. Welcome to Cape Coast Castle, where hope comes to die, and the only checkout is in a coffin. You're chained in the belly of a slave ship.
I'm actually surprised he hasn't even mentioned the mosquitoes yet, because those are in fact the actual worst.
A wooden coffin rocking on a wild sea. The space is so tight you can't sit. Your knees jammed against someone else's back. The air thick with vomit, sweat, and human waste. You can taste death on every breath. Planks creak under you, wet with filth, slick with fluids that have no names you want to know. Above deck, women's screams pierce through the hull as crew members take their privileges, stealing their innocence and dignity. Their bodies no longer theirs. Their leers crawl over you like roaches when they bring you to daily slop. You can call watery gruel and maggoty hardtack food. Your bracelet, Mama's woven gifts, digs into your wrist. The only thing keeping you sane. You traded it to Ya for a spot in the revolt, but she pressed it back into your hand before the guards chained you here. "Tonight," she whispered, when the moon hides. Midnight hits. Ya presses a rusted nail into your palm and whispers, "Work the chain's weakest link." For 30 minutes, you grind the nail against the iron, fingers bleeding, metal screeching softly until the chain breaks. Your hands free. You crawl through the dark, bodies shifting like a living sea. Others working their own chains loose, some with stolen tools, others using their teeth to knot ropes. But boots thunder above. The revolt begins. Shouts, fists, a stolen knife flashing. Ya appears, blood streaking her face, a dead sailor's cutlass in her grip. "The deck!" she screams. But musket blasts answer her call. The crew is ready, always ready. Blood splashes across wooden planks like spilled wine, and Ya's dragged to the rail, still fighting, still screaming defiance as they feed her to the sharks. Their fins slice through moonlit water, erasing her life like she never existed. You're spared, forced to scrub her blood under a sailor's whip, your hands shaking, stomachs churning. You hum Mama's Igbo lullaby, soft as a whisper, and the sailor pauses, his whip arm dropping, something almost human flickering in his eyes before he remembers what you are. Your voice is your blade, cutting through this hell. They call it the New World? More like a mass grave with sails and a serious hygiene problem. You're 13, stumbling off the ship into Barbados heat that hits like a hammer to the skull against the Caribbean sky. They scrub you raw, oil your skin to shine like a prize pig, but your eyes burn from weeks of salt and tears. The auctioneer barks, "Fresh cargo, young, but she'll breed well in a few years," his voice sharp as a whip, while men in wide-brimmed hats appraise you with eyes like cold coins, poking your arms at your hips. A little girl from the ship, your sworn sister after the revolt, clings to your leg, but a buyer rips her away, her scream a knife in your gut. You're alone again. Mama's bracelet, your only anchor. A planter with a scar snaking down his cheek buys you for his sugar plantation. His voice cold as iron. Mary, he calls you, spitting on your Igbo soul. Dragged to a shack, you find a rusty nail and carve Adwa into the dirt floor. Each scratch a promise to stay you. At dusk, the planter's daughter, pale as a ghost, slips you a mango through the window slat. You're too young for this, she whispers, pity dripping from her voice like honey. Your heart flickers. Kindness? In this hell? Then she runs to her father. Sobbing you stole it. His whip cracks 5 times across your back. Each strike a lesson in how mercy is just another word for trap. Welcome to British Barbados, where the sun's brutal, the whips are worse, and your name is just a suggestion. You're 15, cutting sugarcane on a Barbados plantation. The sun a blazing fist pounding your skull. Endless green fields stretch to the horizon. Razor-sharp stalks slicing your palm. Blood mixing with sweat, dripping like red tears into Caribbean soil. 16 hours a day. Your machete swings, blisters bursting, while the overseer's whip cracks like thunder. His cruel game, showing off a whip worker's back at sunset as a warning, haunts you. The latest victim's cries stuck in your ears. 2 harvests pass by, each day a blur of sweat and pain. Now 17, the planter stalks your shack at night. His rum-soaked breath a poison in the dark. His hands, rough as iron, pin you down, tearing your clothes and spirit with every brutal touch. You fight, clawing and screaming, but his weight crushes your resistance, leaving scars no whip could match. Soon a secret grows inside you. You're pregnant, a life born from his cruelty. You hide your swelling belly, knowing a child means double chains. For you and the innocent life you die to protect. At night, in a shack reeking of sweat and despair, you tell Mama's Igbo stories to the women, your voice soothing their kids to sleep. They call you sister, their trust a spark in this hell. But the overseer hears, his eyes narrowing like a snake's. Stirring trouble, Mary, he growls, his whip coiling, ready to strike. You move fast, slipping a rock into the cane mill's gears. The machine stops working, buying the sick a day's rest. But his boots stalk closer, and you see the anger and suspicion in his eyes. You hold your bracelet and whisper Adwa to stay strong. You're 18, your belly heavy with a child you'll never let wear chains. The Barbados plantation burns your soul, but your plan worked. The mill's been down for weeks, giving the broken bodies time to heal, time to hope. But the overseer knows. He's been watching, waiting, building his case like a spider weaving death. Tonight, under the blood-red moon, he drags you to the whipping post, rope in his hands, murder in his eyes. Time to make an example, he growls. But you're done being anyone's lesson. You hum an Igbo folk tune, but the change in rhythm cuts through the night air. The signal they've been waiting for. The women you've been teaching. The sisters you've been building step from the shadows. Torches flicker to life in their hands like fallen stars. You spent 3 years planting seeds of rage, and now they're ready to harvest. Together, you light the first cane field on fire, the flames shouting your anger, the plantation's wealth burning bright as the moon, smoke carrying your defiance to the heavens. For precious minutes, you're winning. The overseers scramble, shouting orders, but chaos is your ally now. Then the muskets crack like breaking bones. Blood soaks the earth that's drunk so much of your sweat and tears. They drag you to the gallows as dawn breaks, the noose rough as justice around your throat. But you're not done. Not yet. As the noose pulls, you sing Mama Igbo's lullaby, loud and strong, shouting Adwa to the stars. The crowd gasps. The overseer pulls back, but the rope steals your breath. Your body falls, but your stories don't. The women whisper them to their kids, your name carved in their hearts, seeding a fire that'll outlive this hell. They thought they silenced you. Surprise, your voice burns louder than their sugarcane. The cane field's flames fade, but you, Adwa, burn eternal. You were 18, a mother-to-be who defied chains with stories and fire. Your name, Adwa, echoed louder than whips, carved in dirt and hearts, sparking a legacy that outlived the plantation's scars and every chain around your ankles. Your lullabies still hum in the African diaspora, from Barbados to today's festival. Tried to erase you, but your voice still cuts like a blade through their lives.
Legendary. Okay, this video isn't as dark as the other videos on here, but still interesting though.
You're 7 years old in 18th century Kyoto when a strange woman visits your family home. She examines your face like...
Hold on a second. Okay. I feel like